Welcome to Wonderspace. It's great to have you on board. My name is Steve Cole, and over the past 62 episodes, I have been asking the same 6 questions to amazing people from around the world. The questions orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness, and the setting for each journey is this shared window on the space station, from where we see everything from a different perspective. Before we introduce our guest this week, our friends at AskNature.org are going to help us to re-wonder.
The image of relaxation that humans often associate with soaring birds tends to gloss over the intense effort of flapping birds. The lightning-quick motion of wings requires vast quantities of oxygen rushing to their muscles constantly. They literally don't have time to take a breath, at least not a breath like other animals do. When a bird breathes in, it sends some fresh air to the lungs and some to air sacs for holding. Then during an exhalation, the stale air leaves the lungs as a fresh supply rushes in from the air sacs. The next intake of air starts it all again, keeping the hard-working bird in a constant state of flow.
Our orbit this week will take us across Western Europe to the Arabian Sea. And to experience these views with us in this ultimate window seat, we welcome Dr. Paul Matz. Paul is a Victor Mills Research Fellow at Proctor and Gamble, and the founder of the NGO Action on Podo, which has transformed the lives of tens of thousands of people in Ethiopia. Paul was nominated by our 26th guest on Wonderspace, Ivor Peters, who is also known as the Chef Urban Rajah.
Hi there, I'm Ivor Peters, and I have had the absolute pleasure of nominating Professor Paul Matz onto this week's episode of Wonderspace. His is an amazing story of how he's taken a lifetime's work of working in the adult beauty and skincare industry and is now transforming the feet and the lives of thousands of people in Ethiopia. Hold tight, this is one heck of a journey.
The full-length interview with Dr. Paul Matz can be heard on the Wonderspace podcast, which can be found on our website and on most podcast platforms. For this video orbit, Paul answers 3 of our 6 questions and starts by giving us a glimpse into his life story so far, with an emphasis on what he is doing currently.
In 1988, in the final year of my PhD in microbial biochemistry, 2 life-changing things happened. Most importantly, I got married to my wife, Ali, but secondly, I started a career with the Proctor and Gamble company. My connection with skin started in year 1. I was working on anti-acne technology, and having had cystic acne myself in my teens, I knew how devastating it could be to self-esteem and confidence. Since then, I've risen to the very top of the technical career system in P&G, leading both upstream and applied skin research programs. I've helped design and launch many products in the Olay range. Max Factor, CoverGirl. I even spent 2 years working directly with the Dolce & Gabbana fashion house in Milan, helping to take them into the world of prestige skincare. But I've always thought of my job as a high calling because of the central role that skin plays in human health and well-being. Here's my mantra. Why do we have skin? Number 1, as the primary interface with an inherently hostile universe, without which we would die within 24 hours. Secondly, skin is a profound organ of non-verbal communication. It speaks long before we open our mouths. In around 300 milliseconds, skin condition has wordlessly signaled age, health, attractiveness. And it's why skin conditions have an effect on quality of life index, often equivalent to terminal illness, and why many, tragically, with acne, eczema, psoriasis, more, fall into depression, even suicide every year. In 2009, I met a man who changed my life, the retired professor of dermatology at Oxford University called Terence Ryan. Terence has pioneered dermatology in the poorest areas of the world, And he opened my eyes to the fact that skin conditions make up an amazing 30 to 50% of all disease presenting at primary healthcare facilities in resource-poor settings. He invited me to speak at a dermatology conference in Moshi in Tanzania, and it's there that I first became aware of a disease called podoconiosis. In short, Podo, also known as lower leg lymphedema, sometimes called elephantiasis. It results in monstrously swollen legs and feet. I learnt that the disease is mainly caused by barefoot farming on certain types of reactive volcanic soil. And in Ethiopia alone, at least 1.5 million people suffer silently with Podo. And so in my spare time, I traveled there to measure the skin of those with and without Podo, and showed that tragically, the disease starts with dry skin on the feet. It simply cracks and splits, allowing soil in and starting the chain reaction of disease. And I also totally fell in love with the people, and my heart broke for those with Podo who were and are rejected, ostracized, stigmatized because of their appearance. And so in 2012, I co-founded an Ethiopian NGO with a vision to eradicate this disease within my lifetime. And here's the extraordinary thing, Steve. You know, in my day job, I develop and test technology to help care for the facial skin of essentially healthy women. But if I take exactly the same simple approaches I use there to treat Podo, literally washing with water, soap, the use of petrolatum as a simple moisturizer, I can heal the skin on patients' feet, stop the ingress of soil, such that huge legs return slowly to normal over 6 months to a year. And the whole person is restored to life again, body, spirit, soul. And so since 2012, we've treated around 37,000 Podo patients in southern Ethiopia, started 7 small shoe factories staffed by young recovered Podo patients who've made over 7,000 pairs of custom oversized boots for patients with very large feet. We've partnered with Tom's Shoes to give away over 760,000 pairs of shoes to school children to help prevent Podo. It's been both the hardest but also the best thing I've ever done. In 2014, I shared a conference stage with the amazing James Partridge, the founder of Changing Faces, the world's foremost charity championing the cause of those who look different. James himself suffered horrendous burns to his face and upper body in a car accident in his teens. And I listened to James share that those with visible differences from trauma, from congenital disorders, from skin disease, are often amongst the most vulnerable in our society, facing a daily grind of exclusion, harassment, and challenge in all areas of their lives, from struggling to find meaningful employment to relationships. He said that 1 in 3 share that they feel depressed, sad, anxious, even suicidal as the result of their disfigurement. Outside the NHS, Changing Faces currently provides the UK's only free counselling and well-being service for children, young people, adults with skin disease who need appearance-related mental health and well-being support. James died in 2020, but his legacy lives on in Changing Faces. I was so thrilled to see the amazing Katie Piper, who was attacked and disfigured with acid in 2008, and who's been a wonderful champion and ambassador for Changing Faces, receive a richly deserved OBE recently for her work in helping those with visible differences through the Katie Piper Foundation. Definitely one of my personal heroes. What an interesting question, Steve. Since I was a teenager, I've always had a sense of my own mortality and the transience of life. And there's not many days when at some point I don't say, life is short, either to myself or to others. It's like I can hear you thinking, hang on, this is Wonderspace. You know, this all sounds a bit morbid. Well, sure, this can descend quickly into nihilism, but it's kept me focused on squeezing the last drops out of every flipping day. I'm not sure I'm always the easiest person to be around in that respect. My wife regularly says, will you just relax, Paul? but for me, a day full of focus is my relaxation. And I found that focus has seasons. And as I approach 60 and look at this last season of my life, I would never have predicted that I would have found a whole new focus, discovered a large part of why I'm on planet Earth so relatively late in my life. I could never have predicted that the technical, organizational, managerial skills I learnt in a corporate environment could be so easily, seamlessly reapplied to helping marginalized, ostracized people in resource-poor settings through a relatively simple sidestep and reframing of my skill set and life calling. And I'm genuinely humble in my wonder at what has happened. So, Steve, if you're asking me what insight or wisdom I'd pass on as we re-enter Earth's atmosphere, I would say, just take a step back, look inside at the accumulated skills and abilities you've amassed across your life, but then look outward at this big old world of ours, and in a totally unforced, organic, natural way, see if there's any means by which you can reapply yourself, all of who you are, to help those for whom you and your talent is the answer.
To find out more about the work in Ethiopia, go to actiononpodo.com. Paul also referred to the amazing work of Changing Faces and the Katie Piper Foundation, which can be found at changingfaces.org.uk and katiepiperfoundation.org.uk. To engage with the previous 62 Wonderspace episodes, go to our website ourwonder.space. I want to thank Dr. Paul Matz for joining us on Wonderspace, and I hope you can join us next week for more wonders and stories of hopefulness.